actually reading tonight for the first time in public something I'm working on, soon to be published historical novel. The title is The Passion of the Ripper, and it is, as the introduction noted, a book about a very famous murder case, and set in London in the late 19th century. And I'd like to read to you just a section where my character, who's a Polish emigre to London by the name of Severin Kozlowski, first arrives in the city and explores his new home. Like a lover inspecting every crook and dimple of his beloved's body, Severin learns his new home. Warsaw was a sizable city, with all the peculiarities accumulated by 1,000 years of big and little history. But the area north and east of the Tower of London is a revelation to him. A vast warren of courts, walks, and passages, less a work of man than a deep, imponderable ocean. One could cross the quarter, hewing solely to excrescences of humanity. Fences beg to be scaled, guardless doors unhooked, the complacent occupants within to be surprised, intruded upon. Then, when hunger or weariness strike, one could go just a few steps north or south and enter on a wide byway like Commercial Road, Whitechapel Road, or Whitechapel High Street, and with steps muffled by the seemingly permanent carpet of horse manure on the pavement, slash through the chaos in moments. Here, a man could be a phantom, silent, free to materialize anywhere at any time. He becomes a leviathan, gliding through the effluent of decay. The depths nourish him like a fragrant, well-meated bone. He feels encouraged in these heedless wanderings by the city itself. It produced the East End as a consequence of its own breakneck growth, and having extruded the place, turned its back on it. Though he lives east of the Tower, he is a professional man, and therefore retains a perspective more like a West Ender. As such, he derives moral satisfaction in despising the East's chaos from a distance, and immediate pleasure in exploiting it in person. This delight is in deep contrast to his working life. He arrived from Warsaw with a letter of introduction from Dr. Rappaport, attesting to his thorough study of the science of surgery. There were, he understood, ample, well-paid opportunities in England for continental physicians. But the promises were not fulfilled, for although no one is wont to dispute his skills, there is little demand in London for practitioners without fluent English. Dr. Rappaport had warned him as much. The Englishman prepares to be bled by a native ignoramus. If you must leave, go to Hungary, go even to Germany, but expect nothing from the English. However, after years under the doctor's yoke, he was as likely to abide the Jew's advice as he was to do the opposite. For an accomplished surgeon, there could be no limitation of custom or law. Among ordinary men, he is exalted by his knowledge, whether his status is acknowledged or not. For indeed, blood is blood in any country, and flesh is flesh, liable to the same knife. He would master English soon enough, as he had Russian and German before. His plans could not be forestalled. But the arrogance of the English is worse than Rappaport had warned. In London, he is seen as nothing more than a foreign craftsman, a pieceworker with a black bag, gibbering in some outlandish tongue. For all the stature of his degree, he might as well have studied cabinet making like his father. It is outrageous, intolerable. In the little room he rents at the foreigners' workhouse, he sits by the window looking down at the natives and their self-importance, their pretensions to contentment without the guidance of wiser men. They seem immovable in their ignorance. They see nothing wrong in lavishing money on a Savile Row tailor or on a pretty carriage, but not on those who tend the flame of knowledge. They are the Prometheus binders. They rip the liver from him with each rejection, wait for it to grow back, and then reject him again. He looks down on them from the window. They see nothing wrong with money for tailors. They bound him and reject him again. He looks down on them from the window. He found work in the only concern that valued his skills. A barber in the West India Dock Road had a modest shop between a druggist and a dealer in antique musical instruments. For a modest salary of 4 and 6 a day, Severin helps him cut hair, shave beards, and, for less money patrons, perform bleedings and tooth extractions. It is lowly work, offering so little stimulation to Severin's active mind that he sometimes fears for his sanity. But it is a legitimate situation, and it does offer him frequent opportunity to improve his English. His pride and natural diligence leave him no choice but to apply himself. Within 3 months, he becomes nothing less than a storefront raconteur. His skill by word and scissor are something of a legend in the neighborhood, and his traffic swells on referrals. With the steady work, he refines his appearance. He shops for suits alongside barristers, lines his fingers with rings, and spends his after hours in front of the mirror, trimming and pomading his hair. Within 4 months, women as well as men are lining up for his services. For the ladies, he spends particular care on cultivating himself. For the sum of just 6 pence, he regales them with a soft touch, continental manners, scent of rose water. He comes in close, the curled ends of his mustache just inches away as he dresses their hair. Some need their fears assuaged before bleeding, and he obliges. He would seat them, tilt them back, pour soothing words in their ears. Although he is as articulate now as any cockney under Beau's bells, his best tool is still his exotic accent. He becomes practiced at knowing when, the women's heads filled with dreams of faraway capitals, they are most at ease. That is when he picks up the lancet and, without drama or the chance for anxiety, applies the slit. He is most pleased when his subjects barely seem to feel the prick at all. As he entertains his guests, he is diligent in monitoring the rate and quality of their bleeding. For the flow of life's precious liquor is not as straightforward a thing as a layman imagines. It is no mere mechanical leakage, but an expression of vigor more articulate, more truthful than the idle productions of spoken language. The words of women mean next to nothing at all, but their flow is of the most supreme significance, actually. The ancients understood it when they spoke of the diagnostic qualities of the pulse, of blood that capered like a gazelle, leapt like a goat, or crawled like an ant. The blood does not dissemble, it does not prattle fatuously, and it never speaks to men unprepared to serve it. In this, it is an oracle, and those who bear witness to it, apostles. He knows no deeper calling. To this end, he is obliged to keep up his skills with the scalpel. In this, at least, his new home offers rich opportunities. The train tracks around Liverpool Station are regularly lined with the corpses of dead animals, dogs and cats struck by trains, old and worn-out cart horses and donkeys dumped by their former owners. Indeed, finding material for dissections is easier than finding the time to perform them, for his duties at the shop keep him busy for 10 hours a day, until after nightfall. Months of stealing into railway yards make him stealthy. Working in the dark, he becomes deft at surgery by touch. Organs even Rappaport took some time to locate, such as the kidney. He can lay his fingers upon in moments. When the time comes at last for him to pursue his real vocation, to be a surgeon in a legitimate practice, he will have the surest hands in England. All this would have satisfied him if not for a single insistent thought. A surgeon who practices only on dead bodies is little more than a scavenger. Vivisection did not figure in his education. The longer he dwells on it, the more essential it becomes. Mere bleedings and lancings of carbuncles will never suffice for this, the ultimate immersion in the mystery. If he could, he would expose the very soul itself, possess it in his hand, and in his mastery, feel its expiration as it slipped through his clenched fingers. For this, he would have to be more cunning still. Thank you.